What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you can have me. Yeah, me at your next event. Let me entertain you. I like to party with the people at the best times of their lives, you know, like weddings and parties. Everybody's there to be happy and have a good time. And I got to be a part of it all. I feel so good about that. Speaking of feeling so good about that, today on the program, I got a twofer. I got Meredith Corning and Sydney Rasch. Who are they? Tra-la-la? Well, you get to know a little bit more about them in the next few minutes. So stick around. This week's shows, well, due to the novel COVID-19 coronavirus that is currently taking hold of the entire planet, the public shows that I have been canceled. The restaurants are closed, so the regular show that I usually have on Friday nights at the Rab and Thursday nights over at the Old Post Barbecue. Now, those places, at least the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, is still serving food. So, you can go through their drive-through or you can call ahead and they'll meet you outside. So please, I mean, even if we're not having a karaoke show, I still love those people. You know, the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas, they got great barbecue. Try the ribs, and the chicken wings are amazing. Smoked. Oh, just fantastic. So if you want some good food, and for that matter, any of the little, for the most part, the mom and pop restaurants, a lot of them are staying open for the delivery only or the drive-through only type foods. So I encourage you, support. I went through, I didn't do a mom and pop this morning, but I went through Starbucks and got breakfast for the fam. So, it's at least support these businesses or else they're going to close down due to this little tiny bug that's taking the world on by storm, if you will. So, go out, if you can, if you have the means, keep yourself protected, of course, if you're in any kind of, possible, if you're of a weaker immune system, protect yourself. If you can send somebody else out to get something for you, please do that. That's what we're here for. We're here to help each other. We're here to help each other stay alive. I do have a wedding as of now, as of this recording. I have a wedding in Monticello on Saturday, so I'm kind of stoked about that. People still need to be entertained. Weddings, they're going to happen. We'll get through this. We'll get through this little novel COVID-19 coronavirus. Yeah, it's on people's minds. All right. I think I've taken enough of your time in the intro. Let's give a talking to Meredith Corning and Sydney Rasch. Well, I got to call Meredith Corning first, and then I'll call Sydney Rasch. Let's see how this works out. Calling Meredith Corning and Sydney Rasch now.
Hello.
Hello, Meredith Corning.
Yes. How are you?
It's so good. Keys Dan, What Makes You Famous podcast. I think we need to call Sydney Rasch.
Rasch.
That's what I said. Sydney Rasch. I won't edit anything. Let's get Sydney Rasch on the line, and we'll have a twofer today.
Hello.
Sydney Rasch. Hey.
Hello.
Hey, everybody's on the line. Yay.
Yay. Yay.
Technology. Meredith Corning. Sydney Rasch. I'm going to mispronounce it like 12 times before I get it right. Sydney, say your name.
Just Rasch.
Just Rasch. Nothing but Rasch. Perfect.
It's easy, no weird pronunciation or anything.
Nope.
Rasch, like Rash like Dash.
I've tried to juice up names before, in certain situations whenever they don't get me their name pronunciation beforehand. Well, I guess we should back up a little bit. Why am I talking to you, Meredith Corning, Sydney Rasch, two people out there in the world listening, and all the people that are listening to the What Makes You Famous podcast? Well, let's go in the order in which they were received. I have known Meredith Corning longer, but Meredith Corning, give the people a little idea of who you are.
Well, I'm a wedding planner in the Arkansas area and started out in Central Arkansas, which is where I'm from, and lived in Memphis for a couple of years. And now I am in Northwest Arkansas. And you and I have actually done a couple weddings together, Dan, and fun weddings. Yeah. So that's how we met, was through the wedding industry.
I remember the first one that we did, and I was kind of embarrassed because I had like little to no room. I was kind of pushed back up into a little space up against the wall, and I put my stuff up, and I try to take pride in my setup, but this particular time, I'm going to have to admit, when I put up the stands, I did not put my scrims on, and you made mention of that, and that embarrassed me so much. And I went, you know what? From now on, I am never going without a scrim. I am going to make sure that my setup looks as good as it can be. And that's what a wedding planner does behind the scenes. That bride and groom never would have known that the DJ wasn't playing completely up to par. I'm not afraid to admit it. I can do it. I'm admitting that you did
I'm not afraid to admit I didn't notice, because truth confessions here. That was probably my third or fourth wedding ever that I had done. I was very new when we did that first wedding together.
But you did notice, when I put my stuff up, you were like, don't you usually cover these things up? And I said, yeah, I usually do. But I didn't want to take the extra 30 seconds to do it. And you called me out on it. You did it.
Oops, sorry.
No. I completely appreciate it, because it made me that much better. Yeah, I can play music.
There you go.
I can rock a party to the early lights, no problem. But you're going to make me look and that much better. So, Sydney Rasch, let's bring you in the conversation. Tell the people who you are, because I've seen you on Facebook. You're friends of friends, not just Meredith Corning. I know you know some people, so I've seen you online. Let's find out who you are, Sydney Rasch.
Well, so I'm a wedding photographer and I'm an attorney. And it's kind of a fun little roundabout way how I got there, because I have an art degree from undergrad from Hendrick. And I'd always kind of wanted to go to law school, but I was kind of about it. And so I loved photography. In undergrad, we did film photography, straight up film, darkroom, processing the film by hand, printing by hand. It was awesome. And after I got out of school, I bought my first digital camera, and the rest is history with that. And that's been, it'll be 7 years in June.
That story was way too short, Sydney Rasch. The rest is not history. No, there's more to it. What was that first camera? What was that first camera that you bought? What was that, that got you feeling the idea that, hey, if I take somebody's picture and then I hand them that photo, they're going to feel good. They're going to have something to keep their memories alive. Put it up on the wall, on the mantelpiece. Sydney Rasch, you're helping people keep their memories alive. What was the first camera that you owned?
I like to think that I do. No, my first camera was a Nikon D5000, which barely did anything beyond automatic mode. It was a great little first camera, and I upgraded quickly.
It sounds fancy. D5000. It sounds like, in the future, all the way into the year 2000.
Hey, no, not particularly. Nope.
All right. That was keeping in line with people naming things to make them sound bigger and more important than they are.
That's true. It's ironic.
Okay, so you said that was fully auto, and it didn't have a lot of the bells and whistles. but you upgraded from there. And that was a film camera, D5000?
No, just digital. I still have some of my film cameras, but it's really impractical to use them these days. Film is so. Hey, I have a lot of respect for film photographers, but man, that is pricey. It's a lot of. It's a lot of risk.
Oh, it's incredibly expensive. I found some film. I was cleaning out my closet, and I found like a roll of film in the bottom of it. And I go, "Where did this come from?" I don't even know when or where I took these film. So I took it to my local Walgreens. I'll say the name. This portion of the podcast brought to you by Walgreens. I took it to them, and then I said, "Hey, do I get these back in an hour?" Oh, no. At least 2 weeks. Okay.
Wow.
So at least 2 weeks. I take it out. That I finally get them back, and they were pictures that I really didn't care about. So now I have some very expensive photos that I really didn't need. They were just, kind of throwaway. So
I've done that too. I printed some old film a couple of years ago, and I was so excited because it was from when I was in college, and I'd passed the camera around to like my friends at a party we were having at our apartment, and I was so excited, and I went and got it printed, and there were like maybe 3 good ones in there that looked frankly like something from an influencer's Instagram page.
Yeah, pass the camera around.
And then the rest.
That brings me back to Meredith Corning. When I go to weddings, sometimes I see cameras on the tables. Is that something that's still happening?
I haven't done that in a long time. I think people more now are doing the Polaroids, and then, getting the Polaroid film and putting it in a little basket and having little DIY photo booths set up so you can take pictures of yourself or your friends or whatever, and take them into a photo book. Yeah, it's instantaneous, and it's kind of retro, so it's kind of cool. Like all the retro things are coming back in style.
It's hip.
Well, yeah, what do they call that? Hipster?
It's hipster. Yeah, it's definitely hipster.
I've heard of hipster. I don't know how to define a hipster. I see a dude with a weird beard and maybe a crazy mustache, and okay, is that hipster?
Well, I don't know, but me and Sydney had this conversation one time because I was talking about somebody being hipster, and she said, "Well, you don't tell them that to their face because they don't like to be called hipster." And I was like, "They don't like to be called hipster?" I had no idea.
Are they going to come at you like, "I don't like the word hipster. It really offends me."
Yeah.
Is it something like that?
About that.
Remember you? And I was like, I didn't know that. Like, I would have totally thought that was a compliment to call someone a hipster. Doesn't that mean you're just like cool and young and modern and hip? I don't know.
All right. Meredith Corning, sticking with you. You're from Central Arkansas. Growing up as a kid in Central Arkansas, what were you into?
I was really into dance. So I was, dance team, junior high school. And then when I got out, I went and worked for Fred Astaire Dance Studios and was a ballroom dancer for a time being. And then I kind of got into marketing and public relations. And that's what I did for a long time, was marketing and public relations for the fashion and beauty industry. So if I was to say what was, what is my background, that's really my background, because that's what I spent years and years doing. But yeah, growing up, I was into dance. I really thought I would grow up and have like my own dance studio or something. That was my dream.
Meredith Corning, you weren't just into dance. You went all the way. You became a dance teacher. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Were you a company girl in Fred Astaire?
Yeah. I mean, and then even when we moved to Memphis a few years ago, I needed just kind of a little part-time job when we moved because I, was having to start my business over in a different place. And so I actually went and worked for Fred Astaire again, not as a teacher. This time I went to do marketing and public relations for them, but the studio in Memphis hired me, to come in. Then I was kind of like a backup dance teacher if they needed anybody. But Yeah, I love the Fred Astaire company. I mean, it's a great organization.
Oh, I understand. Starting all over again. In 2009, the middle of 2009, I had the inkling, the urge, the desire to get out of South Florida. So Conway,
Yeah.
Arkansas, looks like a nice town. They got a good setup. The structure of Conway, Arkansas, with the Conway core. It seems like they can handle growth very well. And one of the first, okay, yes, I had to restart my business here. It was well established in the Florida Keys. Weddings all the time. Destination weddings for the most part, with people that I never got to meet, and they would come down to the Florida Keys and say, "Yeah, Keys Dan can do it." Why? Because his name's Keys Dan, and then he brought Keys Dan to Central Florida. Okay, I mean Central Arkansas, and here I am. Still Keys Dan, because I have a website with over 500,000 pages, and I'm not changing it because I'm lazy. So that being said,
I thought maybe you were a pianist when I first heard it. I was like, I remember asking, I was like, "Do you play the piano? Like, why does everybody call you Keys Dan?" You're like, "No, I'm from the Florida Keys."
That is correct. Oh. Well, that being said, I also had to get a Joe job when I got here, and one of the first jobs that I was able to get was the Picture Me Studios at the Walmarts.
Oh, wow.
Are you familiar, Sydney Rasch? Are you familiar?
I could see you doing that, though, making those little babies smile.
Oh yeah. Got to make the little noises. Here, have a little ASMR, my loyal listeners. So, Sydney Rasch, I mean, the reason that those photo studios do so well, and they had a Canon camera, and I wasn't really that familiar with how to use a camera, I guess an SLR, DSLR, a camera, a digital camera. But, and I've had my own little fair share of digital cameras. But the reason that studio does so well is because the camera is mounted in a position with the f-stop and the aperture and all the different settings on the camera are perfect for that footage to that subject. Are you familiar with all these apertures and f-stops? And even after working there for almost a year, I didn't know a lot about cameras. Tell the people a little bit more, Sydney Rasch.
Well, you definitely have to be. But as a wedding photographer, there's no way you're getting by with shooting auto. Lighting changes are so quick and sometimes unexpected. Sometimes you can plan for it. You bring your extra flashes and stuff if you're going to shoot in a dark church that will even allow you to shoot flash. Or you have to have a camera that has the low light capability to be able to pick up that image in the dark church without a flash because the pastor doesn't allow flash.
Yeah, I always thought.
Or you get stuck in the balcony like I do at most. Usually the first night of Methodist church, that will stick me up in the balcony. Which is so funny because I grew up Methodist, and of course, my little country church didn't have a balcony. So,
yeah, they got to realize that these people paid you to get the shots, and you should be allowed to get right up on them. But sometimes that doesn't happen.
I get it. Like I appreciate the sanctity of the service, but also, come on, guys. Yeah. Jesus wants us to have nice photos of our wedding.
Well, yeah, I work with some photographers that maybe it's their third wedding, and I remember Meredith Corning. That was like your third or fourth wedding. We're going to talk about when you first started.
My first wedding was one of those. Yeah, actually.
But the weddings that the photographer will come to me and say, "Hey, this is really my first wedding. What does the photographer usually do?" And I'm happy to tell them. Just get in there. Just get in there. Horrible. If they're doing the kiss, boom, get in there. If they're doing that, exchanging rings, get in there. You can get in, get the shot, and get back out of the way real easy. Now, when you're doing, you say you have photo booths and Polaroids a lot. Do you set up the photo booths or do you bring those big lights? Because I always thought, being a photographer, it's pretty easy. All you do is you bring a bag with a camera, a couple extra batteries, boom, you're good. DJ's got to just set up all kinds of stuff, and the florist has to set up all kinds of stuff. But you go as elaborate as they want you to be, Sydney Rasch?
Well, I don't do anything with photo booths. Definitely not. Although I have been hired, I do a lot of event photography too, as well as commercial stuff, but a ton of events besides weddings. And I've had people hire me to shoot guests as they come in against, like a step and repeat backdrop or.
I don't know what that is.
Sydney does a lot of, you do a lot of the political events too.
Yeah, what's a step and repeat?
Oh, where they have
like the red carpet.
Yeah, where they have the logo, kind of offset, repeated in a pattern.
All right. I've been at a red carpet, never ever knew that was a step and repeat.
Yep, that's a step and repeat.
When I worked for radio down in South Florida, I got to get on many red carpets. And now you taught me something new. This is like 20 years now. And thank you. Thank you, Sydney Rasch. I'm learning stuff from you. And Meredith Corning, I'm learning from you.
So I also put together quite a bit of. I've also put together quite a few charity events too, and I've had to order them, and that's the only reason I know what it's called.
Step and repeat. Step and repeat. That sounds like I think I'm making a hook for a rap song. All right, Meredith Corning. All right, you were in marketing and that kind of background, and the dancing background for that matter. What made you switch gears, and when did you switch gears to doing wedding planning? Had you gone to a wedding or something?
Isn't it crazy? So, I grew up, I got married, I had a couple kids, I slowed down a little bit, with my career, and I was easing my way back in and kind of just doing my own thing. I started out planning like fashion philanthropy type of events where I would partner with a nonprofit and then get a bunch of fashion designers together and we do a fashion show and make some money for the nonprofit. And so I was kind of into that for several years and just did a ton of volunteer, charity type work. And one time I partnered with a venue and we decided to do a little boutique bridal show. And I got the wedding bug, I really liked it. I mean, there were so many similarities in weddings where, you can compare it to fashion in so many ways, color palettes and color forecasts and trends and design. And there's all, pretty things. And so, and I love, so I kind of, it was just an odd coincidence how I got into wedding planning and I never thought I would.
Meredith Corning, you've at least been to one wedding. You're married, so
right.
So you like that. But you're talking about fashion. Full disclosure: I was in fashion marketing when I was in high school. Distributive Education Clubs of America.
No way.
Almost went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. Took a tour and said, you know what? Maybe I will get into fashion. Design my own clothes for a fashion show. Breakdancing on stage, 1986.
Oh, wow.
Okay. In clothes that I made myself with my grandma. But, I went a different way. My ASVAB test told me when I took an ASVAB test that this is something that you take, or at least used to take back then, to get placed. What are your interests? What are your dreams? What are your goals? And my top two were beautician and photographer. Hey, I like taking pictures. I like making people feel good, taking pictures, making people's memories. Sydney Rasch, bringing you back in.
Good segue.
No, tell the people how. Yeah, I'm a king of segues. And then I ruin it because I explain the segue. I'm not editing anything. All right, Sydney Rasch, as the cameras got better and better, tell me about them and how you progressed in your photography business.
Well, let's see. So,
and when? Give a timeline. How? When did these things start? You got that D5000, the coolest camera ever. At least it sounded like it. It sounded good.
Well, I got that in 2013, and then I started just kind of. I mean, this may or may not be what to do or what not to do and how to start a photography business, but this is what I did. So I started, putting out, posts on Facebook groups, neighborhood yard sales trying to build my portfolio, looking to, book a couple of people to do some photo shoots. You don't have to pay me and I'll give you the pictures. So I did maybe like 3 or 4 of those. And then I kind of started charging a little bit, and maybe like, the first paid session I had, I think I made $40.
Yes.
And
how did that make you feel? Somebody paid
good,
you to take their pictures.
Right. It felt so good. And then, just progressively kind of increased my price a little bit. And then I upgraded my camera after about 6 months. And then let's see. And then I shot my first wedding in March of 2014, which was the first United Methodist Church wedding. And I was actually confined to a balcony with a very unforgiving camera. Thankfully, I was second shooting. My first couple of weddings I did, I worked under someone else. And so I wasn't the primary shooter, less pressure, more learning, those kinds of things. But oh my gosh, I will tell you, I have looked back at those photos and they are horrible.
But works well with others, Sydney Rasch.
I do feel bad about it. But I told her it was my first wedding.
It's all a learning experience. I've talked to photographers, and a lot of them do start the same way, where they're giving it away. And now you say you gave the pictures away. You didn't print these pictures out, right? It was all digital.
No.
I hope. Okay, because you'd be losing buku money if you were trying to take pictures. Hey, I'll give them to you for free. Here you go. And I've just paid a bunch of money to my local photo studio to print these pictures out. Oh, well. I remember my first wedding back in 1986. Now, previous to that, I was the high school DJ, graduated class of 86, but I was the high school DJ, and I would bring records. I don't know if you ever saw House Party. Belial. He was, Martin. He was the DJ, and I would ask people. People would ask me, "Hey, could you come DJ my party?" I said, "Yeah, help me bring my records over." "Oh yeah, we'll help you." They never help you. Okay, so that's just the thing. Hopefully, I didn't have the dragon breath that Belial had. I don't know. I was a teenager at the time. But back to the first wedding that I did in '86, and this is when I consider myself. This is probably when I branched over from amateur to professional. I made $50. I rented the equipment for $75 from Guitar Center. So yes,
there you go.
I lost money, but I gained experience, and that's what you do. You say, Meredith, you did your first wedding. You planned it. You stepped over because you went to a bridal show, or you had this little bridal event, and you got hooked. Mm-hmm. So how did you get that first job?
The first wedding I did, I had a local vendor hook me up with. They recommended me, and they kind of guided me through it, and it was a big one. It was a 300 guest wedding. So it was a good one to start with, and they had a big room flip and all these really complicated things. And I just thought, after that one, man, if I can do this one, I can do anything, and so I did a lot of day of coordinating, is what, we've called it for so many years. I did that for a while. It's where you don't actually plan the wedding. You just kind of come in towards the end and help them shore things up with their timeline. And then you come and run their wedding rehearsal, and then you run the day of the wedding, via their timeline and any information that they've kind of given you those weeks leading up to it. And then I did that for several years. I would say, I don't know, the first 2 or 3 years, that's all I did, because I was still doing some PR and marketing. I had some PR and marketing clients that took up a lot of my time. So I just kind of stuck with day of coordinating for a little while. And then I perfected that. I got that kind of down to a science, and was a really good day of coordinator, and started charging a little bit more. And then I started offering planning, because I had, I'd done it for several years at that point and knew the industry really well, and felt comfortable moving into actually fully planning weddings.
When did you start planning? Trying to remember.
So, I officially put my website up in 2013 for weddings.
Oh, you started at the same time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, like within a couple months of each other, I think.
Well, I didn't have my first wedding though until 2014. I had my website up, but yeah, 2014. That's so funny.
I love when people learn about each other.
We have a lot of things in common. Like we had the same baby doctor. We were delivered by the same baby doctor in the same hospital.
Wait, you personally or not your children or you personally?
No, me and Sydney were delivered by the same doctor.
What?
Yeah,
people think Little Rock's not a small town. No, it's tiny. It's teeny tiny.
It's a small town.
we learned that a couple of years ago. I was like, oh, that's so weird.
No.
But yeah, so yeah, officially had my first wedding in 2014 and been hooked ever since.
Yeah, 300 people. That is huge. That's a nice, a very respectable sized wedding. And I'm so glad as a vendor to have you there, because if you're not there, the DJ ends up being the day of. I have to talk to the caterer. I have to talk to the photographer. I have to talk to the florist. I have to talk to all those people. Well, so without with you there, it takes the burden off of everyone, including the bride and groom and the family, who thinks, oh man, Aunt Betty, who's in charge of cake. No, Aunt Betty, step back, chill. Meredith's got it.
So true.
That's right.
And here you are. You're the one that's going to make sure that the DJ knows what time things are going to happen, and then make sure that the photographer, Sydney Rasch, is over there. Hey, okay, his first dances are going to happen in about 5 minutes. Get ready for that. Yep. You could stand over here. I think this is the best vantage point for you. Get off that balcony. You could be right here next to the dance floor, so you can see them. Unless the balcony is the better vantage point. I get it.
Yeah.
I kid. No, I like having, the wedding. It's such an important event because it's only one time. You have no second chance for this. If you're doing senior picks or you're planning even any other kind of event, even a corporate event, the red carpet, you have a couple of chances to get people. Hey, if you didn't get that shot, they can walk back to the red carpet. There's only one time when they're going to be doing that entrance at the wedding. And Sydney Rasch, you got to capture it. Now,
it's a lot of pressure.
It's a lot of pressure. Yeah. And I got to play the right song. Make sure that it's. Oh my goodness! Don't make a mistake. I mean, once you get to the dancing part, you can kind of sit back a little bit. But that ceremony, that first dance, that toast, we all working hand in hand. All right. Oh yeah, Sydney. If you have any tidbits, any great stories about different weddings that you've shot or memories that pop into your head, go, Sydney Rasch. Go. I'll put you on the spot.
Oh goodness. Mara, help me out.
What about Misty's? Misty's that we did together? That one was fun.
Let's talk about Misty's wedding. Okay, so this was it the first wedding we did together?
I don't think, no, that first one we did was in Heber Springs.
Oh yes, Carrie. Okay, but after Carrie, and then we did Misty's. So Misty was so she actually booked. Wait, did she book me or you first? Now I can't remember.
She booked me first, and then I got her to book you.
Yes. So she booked Meredith, and then Meredith got her to book me. It was fabulous. But this girl, over the top, most beautiful wedding I've still ever done. She had a Panina Tournée dress, which, if you're not familiar, is one of the designers featured frequently on Say Yes to the Dress. In fact, she was supposed to go on Say Yes to the Dress.
Yes.
But then
that's how she got the dress.
Right. But then But then what was it? They
had someone that bought the dress, and then they got their wedding canceled, and so they let the dress go for a fraction of the cost, pretty much. Mm-hmm. So she got this fabulous dress.
Oh my God. I did her bridals. Panina shared the photos. It was amazing.
We'll put some dollar signs out there. I think if people look online, they can see what a Panina dress is. How much was that dress?
They're about $20,000. They're
this dress was sticker price, $20,000 at least. It was in crystal.
Swarovski crystals.
Swarovski crystals all over the place. It had a train for days. It was perfectly
lots of handwork.
made.
Yes.
Yeah. And so she was really beautiful too. And she had the most unique idea for her wedding. So this was a Memphis wedding. This was when Meredith was in Memphis.
And yeah, she contacted me and said, let's meet up and talk about, my vision. And she shows me this screenshot from the movie Interview with a Vampire. And she said, that's what I want my ceremony to look like. And there were all these candles and candelabras, and it was this really different design. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be very unique. And she had all of her bridesmaids carry those masquerade masks. And I'm talking I'm not talking about like something you get from the Halloween store. I mean, these were beautiful, handcrafted wooden masquerade masks. And they all walked down the aisle with these masks. And the groomsmen, what?
No, I was about to say, don't forget about the groomsmen.
And so this was like a whole thing. So the groomsmen walked out just ahead of each bridesmaid, right? And they had a lantern that they were holding, and then the bridesmaid was walking with the mask in behind them, and they would get down to the end of the aisle. And the girl would like slowly take her mask down, and the guys would slowly lower their lantern, and then they would go stand at their place at the altar.
It was so cool.
It was so dramatic.
This is why you hire a professional, because they've been to these kind of events. They've had ideas. Meredith Corning and Sydney Rasch, you've done this one event, and you came up with these ideas that you could bring to other events. Now, Sydney, you did bring something forward to mind. You didn't know whether you got called first, the photographer, or Meredith Corning, the event planner, got called first. As the event planner,
Well, we've done maybe 5 weddings together,
right?
And I've sent a bride or two her way.
Yep.
And she sent a couple brides my way. So, since it's gone both ways. So.
Since Meredith Corning, you're the event planner, and you might be a little biased. Who do you call first? Because for me, it's always been the date, the time, the place. Get the venue first. What is your timeline, Meredith Corning?
Oh, definitely the venue and the date. And I mean, a lot of times the bride or groom, or brides and grooms, already have a photographer in mind. I mean,
or a style.
Or at least a style. Yeah, it's like they either want the dark and moody, or they like the light and airy, or that, whatever. They have a classic. Yes. And so then I usually match them up with a photographer next after they book their venue. It's like you want to get the big ticket items kind of out of the way so that you know where you're at with budget, as you go down the line. And then generally catering is the next thing, for me. I don't know how other planners do it, but I do catering next, because that's usually, but aside from the venue and probably the photographer, that's going to be a big ticket item. And so once you've got those big ticket items out of the way, then you have a really clear idea on, okay, this is how much is left, and this is how much we want to spend on this or that, and then matching them with who fits in their budget, and also, the style they're looking for of whatever,
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility as a planner, as a photographer, as any vendor, to care that these folks, they're spending their good hard-earned money, and you want them to get what they pay for. Not everybody's going to have vampire goth budget money, because that sounds incredible. I mean, how much of that planning did you get into? Did you procure the lamps and the masks, or was that something that they already had? Or I mean, how involved were you, Meredith?
It's funny because she contacted me, I think, only about 2.5 months from the wedding. So we had to plan. It was very quick. She was like,
remember.
She wasn't really concerned. I mean, she had her venue, and she already knew the style of this or that she wanted. And so it was really just about putting the rest of the pieces together and brainstorming and collaborating with her. Like, I think she had her venue and her catering, and I think she had already booked the Jeremy Schrader band too, because she wanted like a big band style band.
Oh,
so she had already. So I was really just piecing together, the visual of, the photographer, the videographer, some of the last minute, the cake, and then of course the dramatics of everything and the fashion. I was loving helping her pick those things out.
Oh, I am so sure of it. So you are in the movies, you see the wedding planner go with the bride and groom, or just the bride or just the groom, or with people to pick things out, or sometimes they go pick things out on their own. Is that a service that you provide, Meredith Corning?
Well, I do have a traditional full planning package, which is kind of what you're talking about. But the majority of my clients book my middle package, which is a virtual planning. So it's like having a full planner, but I do everything completely virtual. So I've got, again, like just my systems kind of down to a science so that we can fully plan the wedding virtually. And it's actually half the price of my full planning traditional package, where I would go with you to all your meetings and all that kind of thing. But to be honest, I mean, the brides and grooms in this day and age, they're used to things being virtual. And they're not really that concerned about whether or not I go to their cake tasting with them. You know what I mean? Like, they just want someone to bounce around ideas off of, keep them organized, keep them on track, keep their paperwork together, negotiate pricing for them, et cetera, et cetera. That's the kind of thing I do. I will help them with logistics. I will help them get their design translated to their vendors, like their florist, or help them pick out rentals and all that kind of thing. But a lot of it's on text. I mean, I get text at all hours of the day. It's a 24/7 job.
Yeah, it sounds like the internet has helped to streamline your business, Meredith Corning. I know when I talk to brides, and they're trying to figure out what kind of music to play, and this is me on a small scale. You're doing the whole event. I'm in charge of one aspect of it. For me, it feels like it's the biggest aspect, but yeah, I know. I'm biased. I think that the party is the place that shines. But
that's important. Yeah,
but
we love the party.
And I invite them to call me anytime, and I really mean it. Call me anytime.
I do too.
And if you say you take calls all hours of the night, hey, I'm with you.
Yes.
So Sydney Rasch, you're a part of this event as well. You are the photographer, the one that's making the memories. But you don't just do weddings. You do other kinds of photography. Tell me more about the other types of photography that you do, and what's the most fun?
Oh, well, I mean, I love weddings. I mean, I've shot probably 140 weddings at this point. Weddings are my favorite. I'm not gonna lie, but close second. I like events generally, but definitely my next favorite would be charity events. Especially like when I get to like give my time and really help out a cause that I care about. Or
Sydney's a little busybody. She has lots of energy.
Yeah. Well, what kind of causes are you into? And give them shout outs. Give them plugs.
Well, I'm on the board for a lot of organizations, or I have been in the past. For instance, last year, I was on the board. I was board member for Pulaski County CASA, which works with foster kids, which is really great. Meredith helped me put together this big fancy charity event last year. It was great. Yeah. And then, let's see, I am the vice president of North Little Rock Friends of the Animals. My fiance and I, we love animals, and we usually have a foster dog. We're actually picking up a new foster dog tomorrow.
Okay.
So, love stuff like that. We work also do stuff for Rock City Rescue Road. Those are definitely my favorite.
Sydney Rasch, fine, upstanding citizen of the community. It's good to
She
give back.
is.
It's good to be a part of it.
I also work with basically all of the different local attorneys organizations. I'm the treasurer for the Arkansas Association of Women Lawyers.
Well, tell me about the women lawyering and lawyering in general. How much of that do you do when you're not photographying?
Well, I'm actually a full-time attorney now, which is super strange.
That is wicked cool.
It is cool. I mean,
do you work with a group
really
or do you work on your own?
I'm a member of a law firm. I work for Paget Law Group. I do bankruptcy law, which I love. Which is actually...
Why do you love it?
I like to help people, and I like to, help people navigate like a stressful time in their lives, and it's a really rewarding area of the law.
Yeah, bankruptcy is you having to admit publicly, oh man, this failed. Whatever it is, the company, your own personal finances. Wow, I failed.
That happens.
I need some help.
Yeah.
And you're out there helping them. Thank you, Sydney Rasch.
Well, you're sweet to say that.
No, but seriously, my grandma had to claim bankruptcy at one point, and she made it through the other side because of one of you. Good. Because she had somebody to help her out. And I felt for her. I was too young to know really what was happening, but now you've made me actually think of it. Oh, Mommy did do bankruptcy. And she's still alive. She's still got her own home. She's still okay.
Oh, yeah. Bankruptcy is not that bad. People really blow it out of proportion sometimes because, it doesn't feel good, to say, look, like these things happen and now I have all this debt and I'd really like to move forward with my life. And that's why it's there. And that's what I always tell people. Goodness, I've probably had 1,000 people sit in my office at any given time.
Wait, 1,000 people at one time? That's a huge office.
No, not at one time. Over the years, I was a paralegal for 8 years before I graduated from law school. So,
you're making me
think. And then
think.
Before that, I was a file clerk for a couple of years at the same law firm.
You're making me think, Sydney Rasch. With the internet the way it is, and me liking to shop online, and with the time that's going on right now, and we'll talk about what's happening right now. But I think I'm the reason that Kmart, Radio Shack, Toys R Us, they closed because I buy everything online. They had to claim bankruptcy.
Yeah, me too.
Have you ever had a company that had to claim bankruptcy and you had to help them through to the other side?
Well, I've never handled any. That's typically a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is it's not something the firm that I was at ever handled. And it's definitely not something my firm handles now.
You're schooling me. What's a Chapter 11 and what other chapters are there?
Oh, there's basically 4 kinds.
Mm-hmm.
Briefly, there's Chapter 7, which is an individual liquidation. Typically, that's your quick and easy, you have to be under certain income. And then there's Chapter 13, which is also for individuals, and businesses can do 13s and 7s, but typically it's for individuals. There's a lot of complicated stuff that goes into that. I won't get into it. But,
I like to learn. Any of that technical stuff that you might think that I can understand. I want to know about it. People when they listen to these things, they go, oh, okay. Oh, he's just talking to a wedding planner and a photographer. They don't know. You got other interests. There's other things under your belt. You know more stuff. Sydney Rasch, I'm learning from you. Meredith Corning, I'm going to pick your brain in just a few seconds or minutes.
Okay.
Well, I love talking about bankruptcy, so you don't have to ask me more than once, definitely. But so yeah, there's Chapter 7, which is typically your quick and easy. Chapter 13 is typically 3 to 5 year plan. That's usually what people will file if, say, they fall behind on their car payment or fall behind on their house payments, and they just need some extra time to catch it up while being under the protection of the court, so that nobody can, take your car or foreclose on your house. And then there's 2 other kinds, which are Chapter 11 and Chapter 12. Chapter 12 is mostly just for family farmers. It's really uncommon. I actually only know 2 attorneys in all of Arkansas that do them. And there may be 8 cases a year. But Chapter 11 is a little more common. And that's typically your business bankruptcy, your reorganization, not closure. A lot of them do end up in closure anyway, but it is a good opportunity to, try and avoid closing the business.
What was that chapter that you needed a little bit more time? Was that the 5?
That's chapter 13.
13. Okay. So the whole country right now, as we record in March of 2020, is in some kind of a chapter 13 like state. Because from what I'm understanding is people are getting a little bit more time to pay their mortgages or their bills or, people, the government is stepping in and saying, hey, mortgages hold off if they need a little bit more time. Yes. We're under
right.
We have a coronavirus, a nationwide emergency, a worldwide emergency of sorts. I think it's being blown out of proportion, but that's just me. Sounds like a flu to me. But, is that a chapter 13 that the whole nation is under, that they're getting a little bit more time?
Well, I mean, I certainly understand the concept you're getting at. Don't you even think that I don't, but certainly, I think we'll be seeing a lot more of them. No, mortgage companies are definitely working with people right now, which is great. And I think it's necessary. It's not ideal. I mean, this is a terrible situation. Clearly, we're dealing with as, the world.
Yeah, it's a time capsule is what we're recording as we speak. Yes, you have jobs, and being in the wedding industry, we have, and the event industry for that matter, we have chances of cancellations. I've been telling people, no, don't cancel, postpone. And I've had some weddings that were going to be in April and they said, yeah, you know what, we will postpone. And one of them has gone to November 21st. And another one says, you know what, I am going to postpone. I will call you as soon as I have a new a new venue and time. This is a situation that a lot of entertainers are dealing with. So they're doing a lot of virtual concerts and stuff like that. How are you keeping yourself alive? And I'm going to go with Meredith Corning on this one. How are you keeping yourself alive in this time when things are shutting down?
It is crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty crazy moment in time, and I am trying to work with my couples as best I can, and with all the vendors. We have wonderful vendors in Arkansas who are being very, very flexible and very sweet, and of course, not most of them are not charging fees to postpone or anything like that because obviously, it's just the time we're in. We all feel so bad for everybody. Yeah. So, I do try to get the couples to, postpone. Let's still have your dream wedding. Let's just do it at a different date when it's safe and healthy to do so. And how am I keeping myself afloat? Thankfully I do put back a little bit of reserve. So I can live for a little while, with no income. And I do have a husband that has a corporate job, thank goodness. So,
it's good to have somebody that you can work together with. You have a partnership, yes. And that's good. And I know Sydney Rasch, you've got a fiance as well, and you drag him to events. So you've already alluded to that. So it's good that you have a team, you have teamwork, a partnership. But yeah, I see all these artists, they're doing the virtual online concerts and such, and they'll put a little PayPal underneath or a Venmo or something.
Really cute.
Yeah.
I had one of those. Let's see. I have a Ko-fi link, and I just on a whim, I put it out there, and somebody gave me $3. I got a coffee. Thank you so much.
Hey.
That was cool. I wasn't even expecting that, but I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me put one out there. What the heck? I've lost a couple of events. My regular Friday gig, unfortunately, they closed down. And there's no getting that back. It's not postponed. That's a restaurant that's closed. How are you? Sydney Rasch, you're still in Central Arkansas, and then Meredith Corning, you're up in the Northwest Arkansas. Am I right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So, the difference in the two places, I've never been to Northwest Arkansas. I'm a bad Razorback.
What?
I'm a bad
Arkansas.
Never believe that.
The closest.
Oh my God!
The closest wedding I did was in Harrison, and that was probably one of my No, that was my first wedding that I did in 2009 when I got here from the Florida Keys. But
No, but you don't mean you haven't been up here. I mean, you've been up here and visited, right?
no, I know I've never been to a game.
What?
No, I haven't been
I can't even deal
what's
with
the
that.
street? What's the big street up there? Dixon
Dixon.
Street. That's right.
Dixon.
And that's the place to go. That's the place to be. I need to get up there. And, but I've been to North Arkansas, like in the White River area.
Northeast.
I've done weddings up there as well. I need to get to the Northwest. So how are people handling
Yes,
it?
you do.
How are people handling it in the Northwest? I mean, are the streets shut down? Because that's a lot smaller than Little Rock. Little Rock and Conway, I went out on the streets earlier, and I went to a Starbucks, got some breakfast, got some coffees, and it was pretty simple. You're not allowed to go inside the restaurant, but you were still able to get the services, the goods, the food. How is it working up there in Northwest Arkansas, Meredith Corning?
I mean, it's pretty much the same, because we're of course all following the guidelines from Governor Asa Hutchinson. So it's the same. Things are mostly shut down as far as restaurants go, but you can pick up or have something delivered. Walmart's open, all the stores where you can go get essential things that you need, food and products or whatever. So you can still go in and get those items. And
you got enough toilet paper, do you? You have enough toilet paper?
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't that the most hilarious thing?
There's less people on the street, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. There's less planes flying in the air, which again, I don't think is a bad thing. We are having a moment to heal our planet because of all the crap we do to it as a society. So I'm not mad about that.
That was one of the first things that I heard was China shut down about 25% of their companies, and their emissions are down 25%. So thank you, coronavirus, for helping to save the world.
You can look at the silver linings. It's horrible, and people are dying.
Absolutely.
Terrible,
people die of the flu as well. All right, 100 years ago, and this is something I just found out, there was a flu a pandemic, and the flu did the exact same thing. It sounds like a cycle to me. Maybe I'm optimistic. Maybe I'm underplaying it. But I think a lot of people are overplaying it. Yes, the older folks who are already sick, that are more susceptible, people that are in hospitals and nursing homes need to take care. But, I think someone who's strong like us, we're pretty strong. We should be okay.
I heard a doctor compare it more to like a pneumonia than a flu.
Well, it's the complications that cause pneumonia or cause, loss of lung function, which is the problem. And it's definitely not just affecting the older population. It's definitely affecting people of all ages. I've read cases about, people in their 30s dying of this just as much as,
I mean, and the biggest problem is we don't know enough about it. I mean, that's kind of, I think, where a lot of the fear, that we're seeing comes from. This is something we're still learning about daily, hourly.
So much information getting thrown at us. Oh my goodness. With all the, the internet and you're talking about Asa Hutchinson. I saw that there was a video just today, and it's over 3,000 cases in Arkansas with 3 deaths. And then the comments were all, hey, what about the people that survived? What about the people that made it through? What are you're not talking about that. It's all shock. People are getting it.
Well,
and surviving.
We've had about 13 recoveries.
So not as many as I would think.
There are 330 something positive cases as of earlier this afternoon when I was on Facebook.
Yes.
And we've only had about 13 people recover with 3 deaths. And I think that I read that the country overall has experienced a death rate of about 1.6%.
That sounds big.
Which is a lot higher than the normal flu.
Yeah.
So that's why, that's one of the main reasons why I'm like, and I'm gonna take it seriously until
I guess
gives me a reason not to.
Our most death. I mean, if you could say death is famous, is the guy, the Walmart greeter, 91 years old. I feel for the guy. I never met him, but wow. I feel bad that he was out there probably smiling at everybody, shaking hands.
Aww.
Hey, welcome to Walmart, that kind of thing. And
Aww.
bam, he gets this. And that ultimately takes his life. But I don't know if there was other complications. Maybe he had, other things that were coinciding with the novel COVID-19 coronavirus. Those are all the syllables that I have to say when I'm reporting the news. So it's about
flattening the curve right now. I mean, that's the whole thing is, we're kind of in this bell curve right now. And so, I mean, I guess the best thing we can all do is stay at home. If you can, stay at home. I live like a monk anyway. I say that all the time. Like, this is like no different from my day-to-day life.
No, it really isn't. You do pick up and everything.
I do. I was doing grocery delivery before it was cool.
I was washing hands before it was trending.
Right.
Tell me, what's the feeling in Little Rock? I mean, I've been out and about in Conway. Are you in Little Rock, Sydney Rasch?
Yes, I live in North Little Rock.
Yeah. So what's the feeling out there? Have you been out and about, or are you living the monk life like Meredith Corning?
Well, I've had to go out a little bit. I mean, of course, we had to go to the store. Nothing too crazy. I had to go help one of my coworkers. We're really lucky at my law firm to be able to work from home. I have a work-issued laptop, so we're all remote. We're all remote now. But one of my coworkers does live down the road for me, and so I had to help him hook up his remote desktop yesterday. But otherwise, yeah, pretty much just living the monk life.
Yeah, I mean, how's your toilet paper situation there, Sydney Rasch?
Oh, it's not bad.
Okay, good. Well,
I think that I stockpile on the regular.
Now you're leading me to believe, what if these companies who don't have you in their places of business, maybe they decide, hey, let's close down and everybody work from home. What if that becomes the norm? Or some of the places that are going to close down permanently.
I wouldn't be upset about it.
I don't think it's a bad idea at all. Yeah, I'm for it.
If you can work from home. I
don't have to be in the office.
Absolutely. There's a lot of jobs that could be done from home virtually. The wedding planning can be done virtually. Photography. Once you get the event done, you do all your editing and printing virtually.
Right.
So
I'm used to it. Photography was my full-time job for the better part of 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I work from home and I just work part-time at a law firm.
And, I have talking to some of my friends that, typically work in an office and are now working from home. I've got friends that live in Washington and, up in those areas too, where, they were kind of ahead of us on this and started working from home a little sooner. And, the things that I hear people say is, man, I'm getting a lot of things done. I'm way more productive when I'm at home. And I'm like, I've been saying this for years. Like, there's so much time wasted when you go into an office. There's so many more interruptions. As long as your booty is sitting in a chair, you're getting paid. But when you're at home, you got to be a producer. You've got to be able to produce deliverables to your company. And so you're kind of forced into the situation where you have to work. You got to get things done.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, how many hours?
And I think more companies will see that. I think they'll see, hey, our employees are really getting things cracking and working better at home. And why are we carrying these, high lease payments and paying these electric bills, for looks? No, you don't have to have a storefront. I mean, it's not a necessity. We have all of these wonderful, virtual features that we can use now. Let's use them,
Right.
And
here we are.
If it's not necessary to fly your employees across the world for meetings with people, if that can be done in a Zoom video call, then let's quit polluting the planet. Let's make that happen. So maybe there will be some good things come from this.
You're laying some knowledge down. I love it. That is fantastic. I hope somebody's listening that has a big company that says, you know what? Yeah, they can do their job from home. They can not only do the job that they're doing for me, but they can also get their dishes done and their laundry done and take care of their kids at home, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's good for people. Well, and some people are extroverts and they like to get out and go to work. And I miss
people. I miss all the people.
That's what after work is for.
Of people, I think that this is good for their mental health. You know, I mean, some people don't like getting up and fighting traffic every day and paying for parking and, you know, taking away from their money on gas and parking and wear and tear on their vehicles and, you know, working with people that they may or may not like, you know. So I think mental health wise, this could also be a really good thing for people.
I've been fist bumping for the last 2 years or so, you know, exclusively. People went, hey, why don't you shake hands? Well, you know, you don't know where my hands have been. So it turns out all along I was right.
Right.
I know. I kind of hope the handshake dies after this because honestly, it's awkward. And also, I don't know what you did with your hands 5 minutes ago. I don't trust you.
Yeah. Well, I put it on me. Hey, you don't know where my hands have been. Just a fist bump, you know. Here you go.
You're exactly right.
And I'm kind of a hugger, so I hope that this ends. But I do like hugs. I miss hugs.
Oh, I do. I'm a hugger too.
Yeah, I miss hugs too.
All right. Well, I mean, you know, I'm learning a lot about you guys. You know, Meredith Corning and Sydney Rasch. I'm learning so much, you know, about what your feelings are about what's going on right now. This is a little time capsule about what's happening in the world. You both have your businesses that have been kind of put on hold a little bit. You know, thankfully you got spouses and Sydney, you have, you know, another avenue to keep the income coming. You know, I mean, are there any other things that you could do, Meredith Corning, that are bringing in money, or is it you're a full-time wedding planner, event planner, and this is all you do?
I mean, at this point, you know, for at least, you know, the last year or so, it's been full-time wedding planning, although I'm not necessarily opposed to taking on public relations clients.
You're the best PR manager, so.
Yeah, and I mean, I may segue into that eventually. I mean, wedding planning is hard on the body. You know, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's very laborious work. It's not as glamorous as some may think. So I'm not sure how many years I have left in me, or if I would just at some point like slow way down and maybe take, you know, 5 weddings a year or something. But I will probably segue into more public relations consulting and have a little public relations firm and specialize in wedding PR because now I know that very, very well after running my own wedding business.
It's a hustle, Meredith Corning. You know, it takes a lot of guts to quit a job that's 9 to 5, that's a steady paycheck, and then go out on your own. Back in 2004, I was a DJ since '86, and I've done weddings since then. But 2004, I quit firefighting. I quit the being a paramedic in the hospital in Miami.
Oh, wow.
You know, I was doing that, you know, as my full-time gig. And you know, and I quit all my Joe jobs. And I said, you know what, 2004, let's incorporate. And I'm going to go DJ full-time. That took so much nerve because insurance, you know, number one, you got to pay for your own insurance.
Your 401k, all of that. You're letting all that
takes a lot of guts to go out on your own.
And then business insurance, equipment insurance, this and that and the other thing, it all adds up.
Websites, emails, all those things cost money.
And this is why you're up 24 hours a day because you're thinking about how you're going to get your next gig. You know, you got that gig for this Saturday. Hey, let's think about that gig for 5 months from now. It's always a hustle. And how do I get my name out there? Keep posting, keep putting yourself out on, different medias, such as a podcast that didn't even exist 10 years ago. You know, so you're always putting yourself out there to try to keep it going. But on the other side of that coin, being your own boss, it's pretty rewarding, wouldn't you think?
I love
sleeping
it.
in. Yeah. I can stay up as late as I want. It's great.
It is. It is. All right. Meredith Corning, Sydney Rasch, taking a little bit of your time. Usually I finish these things off. Oh, yeah. First off, Meredith Corning, tell the people how to get a hold of you and your event planning business.
Yeah. So my event planning website is www.meredithevents.com. That's MEREDITH events as in plural with an S on the end.com. And I'm at Meredith Events on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest. And if you want to go see some of my, PR work or work I've done with magazines over the years, I have another website that's meredithcorning.com. So it's just my name, MEREDITH, Corning, just like Corningware, CORNING.com.
I like that you still have all that out there. Sydney Rasch, let the people know how to get a hold of you if they want their babies photographed.
Oh,
and their
no, I
weddings.
don't do babies.
Oh, come on. I love babies. you spend
She
so
has
much
her
time.
limits.
You spend so much time trying to get the come on, smile.
No babies are Republicans.
Shots fired. Shots fired. All right, Sydney Rasch, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, my business is Art Photography by Sydney Rasch. And that's my website. It's artphotographybySydneyRasch.com. But pretty much if you Google my name, which is SYDNEY, and then my last name is Rasch, it's spelled weird, but pronounced rather normally. It's RASCH. You'll find me. You'll find all the ways to contact me. My email, my cell phone number, all that good stuff.
That is a pretty unique spelling of a name there, Sydney Rasch. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
I've discovered only 3 others in the whole world.
Well, all right.
And none of them are photographers.
Hey, excellent. I did have a Keys Dan in England. He is a piano player. He contacted me about 15 years ago, and he said, hey, do you mind if I use the name Keys Dan? I'm a piano player here in England. I said, you probably deserve it more than I do. Keys, piano keys, So he was so worried about that.
You had it right.
Well, yeah.
Right. That's what I thought. Yes. Uh-huh.
You had it right.
I think I'm the only Meredith Corning. I haven't found any other Meredith Corning.
Well, I pulled up at a wedding last Saturday, and yes, folks, I had a wedding last Saturday, and until now, I have a wedding this Saturday down in Monticello. So, things are still going. Well, I guess we'll be distancing each other, but I pulled up, and I have Keys Dan on the back of my little vehicle, and somebody said, the locksmith's here. Keys. So, all right. Usually I finish these things off with last words for the people. I'm going to give Meredith Corning the first last words for the people. It could be some words of advice, words to live by, or just something that pops in your head at this particular time and moment. Meredith Corning, last words for the people.
Last words for the people. Hey, chill out there. It's all going to be all right.
Sydney Rasch. All right. You get the same thing. Last words for the people.
I agree with Meredith. And also, I'm super excited that we got to do this because Meredith is one of my best friends. And I just want everybody in the world to know how much I love Meredith.
Aw, and I love Sydney. Last word.
Well, there you have it, party people. Meredith Corning and Sydney Rasch, 2 very talented young ladies. Oh, just fantastic talking to them and finding out a little bit more about them. If you have a wedding, please order up these 2 fine folks to work for you. Meredith will help you plan it, and Sydney will help you capture those memories. I've gotten the pleasure of working. I've actually worked with both of them. Now that I'm thinking about it, after the fact, oh yeah, that's right. She did take pictures at that one wedding. I remember. And Meredith was there too. So yeah, we've all worked together. It's been a little while though. So I'd like to work with them every week. How about that? So call Sydney Rasch or Meredith Corning for all your wedding needs. And if you need a DJ, I'm there. I'm not too old for this yet. I figure, she was talking about, Meredith was talking about if she ever if it ever gets too much, she's going to open up her marketing venture back up and help to help people, keep themselves out in the public eye and that kind of thing. PR firm. And every time I think, man, am I too old for this? I do another wedding or a prom or, people of all ages, and they all seem to be happy with my performance. So I guess I'll keep going. Have equipment, we'll travel. Thank you so much, Meredith Corning and Sydney Rasch, for being on the program, What Makes You Famous. And if you, yes, now I'm talking to you, my loyal listener, if you'd like to tell your story, give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Be on Radio What. Call 501-470-6386. Say your name, where you're from, and you're listening to What? The music you want is on radiowhat.com.
If you like what you hear, follow What Makes You Famous social media. Use the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Follow on Facebook at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Instagram at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Twitter at Makes Famous. And follow on YouTube at Keys Dan. Leave What Makes You Famous podcast a review and subscribe. Listen to What Makes You Famous podcast on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and almost anywhere you find podcasts. Tell your story on my podcast, What Makes You Famous. Call 501-470-6386 and leave a message to set up a time. You can support What Makes You Famous using the PayPal link, paypal.me/KeysDan. Email info@radiowhat.com. What Makes You Famous podcast is a production of Keys Dan Enterprises Incorporated at keysdan.com. Thank you for listening.
Radio What? The music you want. With some words to live by. Forgive everyone, everything. A public service message from radiowhat.com. The music you want.